Hey guys, I am back with my journey with our new sponsor to the channel, TG3D Studio. And I'm playing around today in DC Suite, just testing it out a little bit more. I've been going through their really brief and concise and direct tutorials online. I'm going to drop the link to the tutorial section so you can get an idea on how to use some of the features in the programs. So right now I'm just going to open up my avatar. I actually want to play with the new avatar that has more of a realistic body shape and show you some of the things I discovered about that avatar, which is really, I think everybody's getting more into the realism of just getting body shapes more realistic. But one thing I did find out, and you can see that she's got the contour, she's got the tones, she's got her realistic skin and hair. You can definitely pull up her measurements online. So this is actually working with the scanner that is, I'll throw that up so you can see that the DC Suite is connected to the TG3D Studio scanner. And this is an actual scan of a body. You can see the measurements come in both inches, centimeters is converted for you, and you can just pull that up online and you can start to draft your patterns using her measurements. You can, of course, change some of her settings, so that she's more in an A pose, that kind of thing. And it's the same thing that you would do with any other avatar. So I thought she was just really cool to get a good look at her on the screen. To me, she's a little bit more, she's got her feet flat on the ground, and she's a little bit more realistic, which is kind of nice to look at. The measurements will probably be helpful if you could actually get to have your own body scan. I'm going to put in the timeline some information about how to scan your own body and use it within DC3D. I'm sorry, DC Suite by TG3D Studios. A lot of D's and C's and G's. But guys, this is it. So I think she's a really cool avatar to play around with. If DC Suite is your thing, I will be dropping a discount code for an annual subscription. You'll get some money off mentioning the Fashion Indie. So I'll put that information in the description. So right now I'm just going to go back to my previous avatar. I wanted to show you one other cool feature. Excuse me. One other cool feature about the avatar. So let's just open her up. This is the regular avatar. Of course, you can make these avatars any size that you want to. And you can just go ahead. Now they work with sliders, so I'm going to show you a little bit about the slider first, how it works, and they break it up into circumference, height, and widths, that kind of thing. So you can actually see that I'm going to just change her shoulder breadth a little bit, and you can see that you can get her some more hairstyles. We'll work on getting some more actual changes to the model for future videos, and then we can go ahead and play around and see what we can do. Right now we got the one pose, which is kind of cute, and we're going to go ahead and test it out. I think I already did like some features, but this is one that I wanted to show you. They have body markers, which is really good for kind of understanding where your pattern placements are going to be on the body. So instead of the lines that you usually see in some other softwares, they have just these non-intrusive pins so that you can kind of see where everything lands. So I just highlighted the bicep pin and the crotch pin, and you can kind of know exactly where those points are without having any lines obstructing your view or anything like that. So I thought that was pretty cool to just throw that in there, and so you can see that you can view them, or you can enable them and then disable them when you don't need them anymore. So they're kind of cool to just have body markers just floating on your avatar. So one thing I do, and I always say I like about this program, is that in the 2D window, you'll see that they have both front and back bodies. I think sometimes when I'm doing some other, using some other softwares, I kind of have to guess or just kind of not understand the placement of the back as much as the front because of the shadow figure in the 2D window. So this is really cool that it has a front and a back for you to just like kind of arrange your patterns accordingly. So now I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to do a little bit of just show and tell right now, and then we'll get to the real point of this video, and there's an animation at the end. So make sure you stick around to the end, and I'll just throw that like and subscribe up again so you guys can take your time to do that, and we'll be right back. So you know, my right back and your right back is quite different because I think yours only lasts a second. But I did cut some things out of the video. Of course, I get distracted and I go off on a different on a tangent. But we're going to open up my practice video. Like I said, the tutorials online are really clear, and they're not as heavily loaded as some other tutorials where you can just kind of follow along. They're set to music and you just have to really watch and learn and do. So I think that's really cool. But right now, let's go ahead and dress the avatar. Everything is pretty much sewn from the previous work that I did in the software. And now we're going to go ahead and just give her a little bit of a simulation. Some of the other videos, I will start to do some more pattern modifications and bringing those in. So all those who are interested in the real pattern making behind these things, stay tuned for that. And we're going to go ahead and simulate this, and then I'm going to work with some of the textures. As you guys know, I'm really into just materials and how they appear in the different programs. So I wanted to give this a try, and just to see if I can master just getting some of the materials on and getting them to look the way that I want with all of the texture maps and everything. So that's what we're going to go ahead and tackle right now. This is a fairly short video, so I don't want to keep going on and on and on about it. So let's go ahead and jump into the textures. All right, now that we got our render going, let's see what we can find out about these textures. This is not the first time that I have textured, but this is the first time that I'm going to be bringing in the maps separately. So as you can see, you know, further into the video, you're going to notice that I learn very quickly how to do it and where everything is. So for the materials and the textures, they're calling this sprite. This is what you would work on for your sprites. So you see some of these things come with actually fabric already loaded into the program, so you can go ahead and fill those into whatever pattern pieces or whatever sections of your garment. In the 2D window, you can go ahead and apply those. I'm pretty sure you can do it in the 3D window. I just didn't do it in this instance. So I'm focused pretty much on laying out my textures in the 2D window, which is kind of what I'm used to just as far as like pattern making in different programs. And using 3D programs, I usually do it in the 2D window, but most everybody has it ability to do it in the 3D window. So you can also do that. One thing I will say is that you kind of have, you can't group select. One thing I tried to do is group select, and that's kind of a different function. But as you can see, once you select a piece in the sprite window, comes up all of your textures, and you can kind of see whether you have a texture map attached to it or if it's just a surface base color is what we normally call it. So right now I can see that when I highlight the fabric, there's no textures attached to it. It kind of looks like it is like a velvet, but there's no additional maps, which is kind of good in a sense if you can get the look of it and it's not really weighing down your system with too many graphics, which is kind of a, you know, that's a personal style of what you like to do with your 3D work. So right now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in another texture. I'm just pretty much learning as I go for this because on their the tutorial site doesn't really cover texturing as much as I would like to see it. You know, hopefully maybe I'll do some videos for them so that people can see exactly how to texture and everything like that. So right now I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play around with it, and we'll be right back once I get some things started. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull in some textures from the VMod library online. That is by Swatch On. This is their subscription, one of their subscription textures. The subscription is, I'll put a link to the video, but they had a sale for $15, I think, a month, a little while back. So I went ahead and grabbed that. The trick to that, as we go ahead and fill in these pattern pieces with the textures, the trick to that is that you have to use or you lose the texture. So kind of, you know, be careful what you want to download, kind of have a plan. If you're going to do a monthly subscription, you do have to use all of your credits in that month. And sometimes it's worth it, but sometimes it's kind of difficult. If you don't have a project, you're just pretty much shopping like you would for fabric and not really having anything to do with it. So I don't know if that model's going to last, but that's what it is. So let's go ahead and add some of these textures. Like I said, if you click on it, the sprite window will open up. So my challenge for this was to go ahead and figure out how to resize the texture and how to fit in all of the texture maps. So I kind of inadvertently kind of put all of the texture maps into the texture window, but that's not what we need to have happen here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull them in one by one. I think this is where I pull everything in, so I'm just going to leave this here. So now I've got them, the main one open, and I've loaded in some of the other textures, and if you can see, they have a tab for each type of texture that you want to load into the fabric. So once the fabric's selected, then you could go ahead and load in each one of the textures in the windows that have like empty things. And it kind of, if you double click on it, it does it automatically. So that part I was happy to find. So I didn't have to kind of like reread and refigure out every little piece. So now I'm just going to put on my simulation so that I could see a little bit of style to my garment. Then I'm going to go ahead and resize these maps, because as you can see, this is like a little petite sequin dress. So right now I've got all the maps laid into the different areas in the window, as you can see at the top. And I'm just going to go ahead and figure out how I can scale this down. And then I found the size, and I found that you have to, if you click, there's a little box there that says size. So once I figured it out to click that little box, you can kind of scale down in two ways, horizontally and vertically, but you can scale them down symmetrically when you click on that little box. So I thought that was really something that we could you know, rejoice about, not having to do things manually, you know, for each step. I mean, as the further we get into doing 3D fashion design, the more we want things automated, you know, go figure. But right now I'm just taking a look at it, and it does look really nice with all of the maps attached to it. So I'm going to do some renders at the end of the video so you can kind of see how they look. And I'm just going to go ahead and just work on scaling down the whole thing, and then we'll take a look at some renders. I think I have one more key point for you to check out. So now I find that little box on the side. It's like I'm watching myself discover all over again. But I'm like, yeah, that's how I want it to look. So now I got the scale that I want, and I'm going to go ahead and just redo all of the patterns in that scale. And then we'll take some pictures and some renders, and you'll see those on my Instagram as well. So if you follow me here at thefashionindie on Instagram, you'll see some of these images as well. And again, this is a journey for me. They did have TG3D Studio did have a little showcase from the university, and I'll throw up that video that you can kind of get back to see the 3D Tech Fest. And there was a little bit of a presentation with some of the students using the software. So I thought it was really cool to see the flexibility in it. So I'm jumping right back in order to give you guys a little bit of a boost and let you know that there are other 3D programs in different countries that people use. I know some of you, you know, in America, in England, China, you know, Korea, a lot of different places, Bangladesh, like there are a lot of big box, I'll call them big box now, 3D softwares, but there are some other 3D softwares that are regional, and I'm here to show you that there's more than just the 3 favorites that we have out right now, and this one is strongly becoming a another favorite. Why? Because they have the fabric module that I'm going to show you in a separate video. And they have the scanner that I'm definitely going to buy. And here's some of those renders. Now, I did get from Substance 3D, if you download the EXR or the background for your HDR lighting, these templates, they call them backgrounds, they're back plates, and you can use them like I've used here. If you have a static figure, you can kind of give some depth and use those as background. So that's what I did here, and those are downloadable in your 3D assets at Adobe Substance 3D. So here's a little animation of her getting into her pose, and we are done, guys. Thanks for watching.